Why is human life so precious and rare? Buddhist wisdom. The one life that can change everything. Right now, as you're listening, take a moment to notice something simple. You're here, you're breathing, you're aware. That fact alone may seem ordinary, but it's not. It's actually one of the rarest things in the universe. Science says that the chance of you being born, with your exact body, your exact mind, at this moment in history, is about 1 in 400 trillion. That's not just rare. That's almost impossible. And yet, here you are. But from the Buddhist view, this is only the surface. According to the Buddha, it's not just rare to be born. It's rare to be born as a human, with the ability to think, to feel, to ask questions, and to look deeply into life. It's rare to be born in a form that can wake up. Buddhist teachings describe many different kinds of existence, called realms. These aren't places you travel to, they are states of being. Some are filled with pain, where beings live in constant fear, hunger, or confusion. In such places, there's no room to reflect, only to survive. Others are filled with pleasure, where life feels perfect and nothing seems urgent. But when things are too easy, there's no reason to change, no reason to ask deeper questions. The human realm is something different. It's not too painful, not too pleasant. It's right in the middle. We experience joy, but we also face sickness, aging, and loss. This balance is not a mistake. It gives us just enough struggle to start wondering, why do we suffer? What is this life really about? Can I live in a better way? The Buddha shared a powerful image to show how rare this chance really is. He said, "Imagine a wooden ring floating on the surface of a vast ocean. Now imagine a blind turtle living at the bottom of the sea. This turtle comes up to the surface only once every 100 years. What are the chances that its head goes right through that ring just by accident?" The Buddha said, being born as a human being is even rarer than that. Most people never think about this. We wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, scroll through our phones, all without realizing how unusual and precious this life is. But look closer. Right now, you have a body that works, a mind that can understand, a life that's not so painful that it crushes you, but not so easy that you sleep through it. Even in today's world, where we have so much technology and knowledge, only a small number of people have all the conditions to practice wisdom. Not just comfort and time, but the wish to understand. The curiosity to ask, is there more to life than just going through the motions? Many people are too busy, too tired, or simply don't care. That's not a judgment. It's just the truth. So if you're here, listening, and even slightly interested in something deeper, that's already rare. That means something inside you is awake enough to listen. The Dhammapada, one of the earliest collections of the Buddha's words, says, "Rare is birth as a human being. Hard is the life of mortals. Rare is the opportunity to hear the sublime truth. Rare is the appearance of the Buddhas." This isn't meant to make you feel special. It's a gentle reminder. You didn't win a lottery just to be lucky. You're here because this form, this human life, gives you the space to grow in ways no other realm can offer. You have just enough pain to wake you up, and just enough clarity to see a new path. And now that you're here, what will you do with it? Why you were born human. If you're able to listen to this, to pause and reflect, you already have something that many beings do not. You were born as a human. not a hungry ghost, not an animal, not a being lost in rage or endless pleasure. And that matters. According to Buddhist teaching, it didn't happen by chance. The Buddha said that all forms of life arise based on causes. The shape of your body, the strength of your mind, even the openness in your heart. None of these appeared from nowhere. They are the results of past actions. And not just what you did, but how you did it and why. Some actions lead downward, into fear, pain, or confusion. But other actions build the conditions for clarity, for awareness, for being born human. One of the most important of these is the choice not to harm. When someone protects life, not just avoids killing, but values the lives of others, that respect creates a kind of safety in the mind. Over time, it leads to being born in a form where fear doesn't dominate. Another is generosity. People who give, who share without expecting something back, create a mind that's less tight, less controlled by craving. That kind of openness ripens into a life where things feel more balanced, where there's enough space to learn and grow. Also, truthfulness. When someone speaks with honesty, they build clarity inside. They're not hiding behind lies. That clarity stays with the mind and helps create a future where understanding becomes possible. And restraint. Avoiding harmful acts, like stealing, sexual misconduct, or losing control through substances, protects the mind from damage. It keeps the mind strong enough to stay present. But the Buddha didn't stop at actions. He also pointed to intention. Two people can do the same thing. One gives to feel proud, the other gives out of care. The results will not be the same. What you hold in your heart matters. That's why being human is rare, because these causes don't come together often. Some people are born into human bodies, but live in fear every day. Some are born without access to learning, or with minds too clouded to reflect. These lives still carry value, but they don't have the same opening for deep inner work. So if you have even a small chance to listen, to think clearly, to sit quietly, that's not something to take lightly. That's a result of effort. Maybe not in this life, maybe from long ago, but it was effort, not luck. There's an old story from the time of the Buddha. After he awakened under the Bodhi tree, he stayed silent. He saw the truth, but he hesitated to teach. He thought, this truth goes against how most people think. They are so caught in distraction and desire. They won't understand. But then a great being appeared. His name was Brahma Sahampati, a high deity from the Brahma world. He bowed and pleaded with the Buddha. He said, "There are beings with only a little dust in their eyes. They will understand. Please teach, for their sake." And so the Buddha agreed. Not for the many, but for the few who were ready. Ready not because they were special, but because their minds had been shaped, slowly, gently, over many lives. If you feel even a quiet interest in this, not excitement, not craving, but a calm curiosity, that's a sign that your mind is beginning to open, that the dust is starting to clear. The Buddha once said, "Beings are the owners of their actions. They inherit their actions. They are born from their actions, connected to them, and live supported by them." You're not here because of luck. You're here because of your own past, your past care, your past restraint, your past willingness to speak and live honestly. Even small actions, when done with sincerity, leave deep traces. And now, with this life in your hands, the question is simple. Will you continue to plant those same kinds of seeds? Or will you forget what brought you here? The answer, like the path itself, begins in this very moment. Why life is so hard, and why that's a good thing. There's a question that many people quietly carry inside, even if they never say it out loud. If human life is so precious, why does it hurt so much? Why are there losses, breakups, accidents, injustice, illness, and death? Sometimes all in the same year, even in the same family. From the outside, it can feel like the world is broken, as if something went wrong during the making of it. But in the Buddha's teachings, it's not a flaw. It's the nature of the world. And strangely, that nature is what makes awakening possible. In the Buddhist view, the human realm sits in the middle of existence. There are beings who live in endless suffering, where pain is so strong they can barely think. And there are others who live in endless pleasure, surrounded by beauty and ease with no reason to question anything. But neither of those extremes leads to wisdom. Only humans live in a space where things are just uncertain enough to make us stop and ask, what's going on here? Why do things fall apart, even when we try so hard to hold them together? Why do moments of happiness always pass? Why do we feel lonely, even when we're not alone? These questions are not a problem. They're the beginning of wisdom. The pain in life doesn't come to punish you. It comes to show you what is real. It reveals what's unreliable, what can't be controlled, what doesn't last. Not to make you suffer more, but to help you let go of the illusion that anything here will stay the same. A lost job, a broken friendship, an illness, they all shake the mind. But in that shaking, something deeper can appear. When comfort is stripped away, truth has a chance to enter. That's why this human life, even with all its stress and sadness, is not a mistake. It's a wake-up call. Modern psychology has started to notice this too. There's a term called post-traumatic growth. When people, after going through deep hardship, report feeling more grounded, more grateful, and more connected to what really matters. Not because the pain was good, but because it revealed what had been hidden. From the Buddhist view, this growth is not just a recovery, it's a step toward insight. It's a moment when the heart says, I don't want to just survive, I want to understand. There's a quote that often gets repeated from a modern thinker named Viktor Frankl. He said, "Suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning." Buddhism agrees, but adds something more. It says that beyond meaning, there is freedom. Not a freedom from pain, but a freedom from being controlled by it. That freedom comes when we stop struggling and start looking. Not with fear, but with presence. The Buddha once said, "It is in this very body, with its thoughts and feelings, that the truth can be seen. The truth of suffering, its cause, its end, and the way leading beyond it." He didn't point to another world. He pointed to this one. The same world where people cry, age, and die. The same world where we fall in love and lose what we love. This is the world where wisdom grows, not despite the suffering, but through it. So if your life sometimes feels too heavy, too uncertain, or too unfair, don't turn away. Don't think something went wrong. The cracks you feel are not the end. They are the beginning. And the fact that you can feel them at all, that your heart still trembles, means you haven't closed yourself off. You're still open, still listening, still capable of waking up. That's not a failure. That's the path. How we waste our lives without knowing it. Most people don't waste their lives by doing terrible things. They waste them quietly, by not showing up for them. A day passes, a month passes, and when someone asks what you've been doing, it's hard to say. Not because you've been idle, but because your mind was somewhere else the whole time. It's easy to think of wasting life as something dramatic, like throwing away your chances or making one big mistake. But in Buddhist teaching, it's much simpler than that. Wasting life means being here, but not really being here. Your body is going through the motions, but your mind is lost, jumping between what already happened and what hasn't yet come. You can be successful. You can be respected. You can be busy every hour of the day and still be drifting through life like a ghost. How does that happen? It starts small. A moment of boredom, and you reach for your phone. A moment of silence, and you fill it with noise. A task feels too ordinary, so your mind goes somewhere more interesting. And little by little, you stop paying attention to your own life. You stop feeling it. When this becomes a habit, life begins to blur. Days go by, but they don't leave any real trace. You look back, and it's hard to remember what made you feel truly alive. You were there, but you weren't really present. The Buddha often spoke about mindfulness, not just as a technique, but as a way of being. It means being awake to what is happening while it's happening. It sounds simple, but it's rare. It takes effort to stay with the moment instead of reacting to it, escaping it, or trying to rush past it. Here are some quiet signs that awareness is slipping. You're always doing something, but rarely feeling fulfilled. You often forget what you did last week or even yesterday. When things get quiet, you quickly find something to distract you. You rarely stop to ask, "Why am I doing this?" There's a low, constant feeling that something is missing, but you're not sure what. None of these mean you've failed. They just mean you've been pulled into a world that rewards speed over stillness, reaction over reflection. But the Buddha didn't teach us to escape the world. He taught us to wake up inside it. Not by running to the mountains, but by starting with where you already are, with what you already do. Even something as small as drinking tea or walking across a room can become a moment of clarity, if you're really there for it. That's why wasting life has nothing to do with dying young. It has everything to do with being disconnected while you're still alive. There's a short teaching from the Dhammapada. Better it is to live one day mindful and wise than to live 100 years distracted and uncontrolled. One day, fully lived, fully felt, fully seen, carries more meaning than a lifetime spent on autopilot. So if you want to stop wasting your life, you don't need to change everything. You just need to come back to where you are. Not in theory, in experience, in attention. That is how life begins again, not with a new plan, but with a new presence. How to make this life truly count. Many people wait for the perfect moment to begin living deeply. They wait until they have more time, better conditions, or fewer distractions. But in the teachings of the Buddha, that kind of waiting is exactly how we waste this rare human life. The Buddha never said we must become monks to live meaningfully. He never demanded we leave our families or climb mountains to find truth. Instead, he pointed to something closer, the life we are already living, right here, right now. So, what does it mean to live this life well? He said in the Dhammapada, to avoid all evil, to cultivate good, and to purify the mind. This is the teaching of all Buddhas. These 3 lines may sound simple, but they're incredibly complete. First, to avoid harm. Not just physical harm, but words and actions that create regret or confusion. Second, to nurture the good. To grow habits like kindness, patience, truthfulness, and care. And third, to purify the mind. To notice when we are lost in craving, anger, or illusion, and gently return to awareness. That's how you make this life count. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to notice when you've drifted and come back. The Buddha gave us a clear method for this. It's called Satipatthana, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. He didn't say mindfulness is something special. He said it's something simple, something trainable, something that belongs in daily life. He even said this in Satipatthana Sutta. This is the direct path for the purification of beings, for overcoming sorrow and grief, for the ending of suffering, namely, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. That means washing your face can be a moment of awakening. Speaking kindly to a stranger can be a practice. Even noticing your breath while waiting in traffic can be a way not to waste this life. But this path isn't just about peace. It's about clarity. Clarity to see what really matters and what doesn't. To pause before we act out of habit. To ask, am I living with presence or just passing time? The Buddha also taught the Eightfold Path, 8 simple principles that guide us to live without regret. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. These are not ideas for scholars. They're tools for daily life. Even if we follow them a little each day, they change us. Slowly, deeply. Because in the end, the biggest waste is not failing to be successful. The biggest waste is being so busy chasing everything that you never really show up for anything. So how do we live this human life fully? We begin by being here as it is, not waiting for the perfect version of our life to begin, but noticing this breath, this task, this person in front of us, and asking quietly, can I meet this moment with presence? When you do that, even washing the dishes becomes something sacred. Not because the dishes are special, but because you are finally here,